Hey everyone! Want to write like a pro? Want your words to leap off the page and grab your reader by the collar? Let's learn an easy process called drop, zoom, shift, end. For simple steps. Endless possibilities for creativity and impact. Get ready to supercharge your writing. First up, we have drop. This is all about how you start your piece. Forget those boring, slow introductions that ease the reader in gently. We want to drop the reader right into the middle of the action, the atmosphere, or a compelling description. No long explanations needed up front. The purpose here is simple but crucial, to grab your reader's attention immediately. You want them hooked from the very first sentence. Think about it. How many times have you started reading something that began with "one day"? Or "it was a normal morning"? Those openings rarely make you want to keep reading, right? Dropping the reader in avoids those dull starts. It instantly creates atmosphere, builds intrigue, and makes your reader feel like they've landed right there in the scene with you. Try using the 5 senses: sight, sound, smell, taste, touch to make that moment vivid. Describe what's happening, what it feels like, what the air smells like. The key is to start right in the middle of things. No introductions, no background setup. Just drop the reader straight into the experience. Here's an example of a drop opening. Rain smashed against the window as the girl stared at the locked box in her hands. See how that works? You're instantly in a scene. There's weather, a character, and a mysterious object. You immediately want to know more about the rain, the girl, and especially that locked box. That's the power of the drop. Now it's time for the second step, zoom. Once you've established the broader scene or action, you want to zoom in on a tiny, specific detail. This detail might seem small at first glance, but focusing on it makes your writing feel incredibly real and immersive. Why zoom in? Because it helps create a strong, memorable visual image for your reader. It's like the camera in a movie focusing tightly on one significant object or gesture. Zooming in also helps to slow the pace just slightly after your dynamic opening. This pause allows the atmosphere to build and gives the reader a moment to absorb the scene through a specific lens. Most importantly, zooming is a fantastic way to show, not tell. Instead of saying a character is nervous, you can zoom in on their trembling hands. Instead of saying a place is old, you can zoom in on a cracked window pane. How do you execute the zoom? Pick one small, significant detail from your scene. It could be an object, a specific sound, a subtle movement, or even a texture. Describe this detail with precision. What is its shape? Its color? Does it make a sound? How does it feel? What is it doing? You can use descriptive language, metaphors, or similes to make this detail even more vivid and meaningful. Connect it to an emotion or a larger idea if you can. Let's take our example from the drop section. We had the girl, the rain, and the locked box. Now, let's zoom in. The key trembled between her fingers, cold and rusted like a frozen twig. We've zoomed in on the key. We see it trembling, suggesting nervousness or anticipation. We feel its coldness and roughness through the comparison to a frozen twig. This small detail adds layers of meaning and sensory experience to the scene. It makes the moment tangible and specific. It grounds the reader in the physical reality of the scene you are creating. Zooming in makes your writing feel cinematic and deeply felt. You've dropped the reader in, you've zoomed in on a key detail. Now, it's time for the third step, shift. This is where you change direction. You shift the focus, the setting, the time, or even the perspective. This step adds variety, complexity, and depth to your writing. A shift can take your reader into a character's thoughts or memories. It can move the action to a different location or forward in time. It can even switch to another character's point of view, showing the scene from a different angle. This is how you reveal backstory, explore internal conflict, or simply move the narrative forward in a compelling way. It prevents the writing from feeling flat. How do you make a shift? You often use a transition word or phrase to signal the change. Words like suddenly, meanwhile, later that day, or phrases like she remembered or across the street work well. The shift itself can be to a different sense, maybe from sight to sound. It can be to a different emotion, perhaps from tension to a wave of sadness. Or it can be a physical move to a new scene or location. The important thing is to make the link between the sections clear enough that the reader doesn't get lost, but the change itself should feel distinct. It's a pivot point in your writing. Let's continue with our example. We have the girl, the rain, the box, and the trembling key. Now, let's introduce a shift. She pressed the key into the lock. Somewhere outside, the dog barked and she remembered the last time she'd opened this door. Here, the shift happens after the action of using the key. The sound of the dog barking acts as a trigger, and we shift from the present action to a memory. This immediately adds a new dimension, hinting at history and past events connected to the box and the door. This shift allows you to bring in information from the past or explore the character's internal world without interrupting the flow completely. It adds richness and context. You've started strong, focused on detail, and shifted the perspective or scene. Now, we arrive at the final step, end. This is how you conclude your piece or a significant section of it. You don't just stop writing, you end with impact. You want to leave your reader with a lasting impression. The goal of the end is to resonate. It should complete the immediate piece of writing, whether it's a paragraph, a scene, or a short story, but it can also leave the reader thinking or wondering. A strong ending shows meaning or evokes a final emotion. It's the last taste you leave in your reader's mouth. How do you create an impactful end? You can link back to your opening image or the detail you zoomed in on, creating a sense of closure or irony. Often, a short, sharp sentence or a final question works powerfully. Avoid over-explaining everything. Let the final image, sound, or idea do the work for you. Trust your reader to feel the impact. Let's bring our example to its conclusion using the end technique. We've dropped in, zoomed in, and shifted to a memory. Now, back to the present moment and the ending. She turned the key. The box clicked open. Empty except for a single feather. This ending brings us back to the present action, opening the box. The short sentences build tension. The final image, the single feather, is unexpected and symbolic. It leaves the reader with a sense of mystery and wonder. What does the feather mean? Why is the box empty? This ending doesn't tie everything up neatly, it leaves a powerful, lingering image and raises new questions. That's an impactful end. Alright, let's quickly recap the 4 steps of this powerful writing structure. Remember: drop, zoom, shift, end. First, drop us in. Start your writing right in the middle of the action or atmosphere to immediately grab attention. Avoid slow, generic openings. Second, zoom into a tiny, specific detail. Focus on an object, a sound, or a movement to make your writing vivid, tangible, and real. Show, don't just tell. Third, shift the scene, the time, the perspective, or the emotion. Change direction to add depth, reveal information, and keep your writing dynamic and interesting. And finally, end with impact. Conclude with a strong image, a resonant thought, or a lingering question that leaves a lasting impression on your reader. Try using this in your next piece of writing. Whether you're working on a creative story, a descriptive essay, or even crafting a more engaging answer in an exam, applying drop, zoom, shift, and can make your writing stand out. And don't forget to subscribe or follow for more tips and techniques to unlock your creative potential.